So if you have ever been a human being and you've ever been around English speakers and normies and like human beings, you've likely heard this phrase, just be yourself. So, this is a very commonly known piece of advice and, honestly a bit frustrating. And there are many trivial statements, there are many truisms as they're known, where on its face it's a good idea. Yes, if you could be yourself, or at least yourself in the good ways, yes, that is advantageous, yes, that is attractive, but we have to ask ourselves some questions. What does it mean to be yourself? How is it possible to be yourself? And then we should ask ourselves, how are we not being ourselves right now? So this is my main point, that in order to be yourself, you must counteract all of the things that prevent you from being yourself. On its face, it seems obvious, but in other words, being yourself is a negative process. So being yourself is maybe the end goal. And to get to that point, that's what those people are not telling you, is how to get there. And it's a negative process. It's a dialectic. And we have to think about how we are not being ourselves. And, I think presumably the first type is fear. The first cause is fear. And so do we fear social rejection? So that's quite standard. I don't feel revolutionary in saying that. But I guess the first thing I'll say is that we have to have reward balanced with risk. There seems to be like a metaphysical aspect of nature or of reality, like a metaphysically relevant part of reality intersecting with game theory or decision theory. So, you can be safe by blending in, by acting like other people and saying what other people say, presumably believe in what other people believe, but you will presumably just have mediocre results. So if your society pushes alcohol and you just go along with it, then you're going to suffer the consequences of alcohol and I guess whatever benefits come with that as well. So if you make a rebellious choice or a contradicting choice, such as to quit alcohol, then you must go through the social friction of, for example, being with your friends or family, or the fact that you're standing out, or that places will not accommodate you. So, for example, if you choose to quit alcohol, your boys, your friends may say, oh, you should drink. Oh, I'm not going to be happy unless you're drinking. Something like that. Oh, you need to be participating in the feeling. You're with your family. Everybody's got a drink but you. And, people would ask why. And then you got to explain yourself. If you're going to do something different from other people, you're often asked to explain yourself, or it's implied that you're supposed to explain yourself or whatever. And then, additionally, people will not accommodate you if you're going to do something different from the norm. So yesterday I was at some restaurant and I was literally looking around. There was no drink menu handed to us. The only drink menus, so to speak, were alcohol. They obviously advertise the alcohol because it's profitable for them, poisoning the people for their own pleasure and profit. And, the non-alcoholic options were apparently very limited. So if you choose to abandon alcohol, you have to settle for a lot of water, and then people make fun of you if you get juice. So that's another thing. So there's fear. We can actually break down the fear of being yourself, the fear of being different, because that's part of what's implied. Being yourself implies taking the risk of being different instead of just doing what you see other people doing. So there are many ways that, being different is a risk. So as I'm just recapping, so first of all, people are not less accommodating. You'll be asked to explain yourself. And then there's some other things that I'm forgetting to say. but, that's fine. So let's have a moment of silence here. So what I recommend is we should accept the idea that quite often the majority of people live in an unhealthy way, at least for particular issues. So in this society, it's the norm to drink alcohol, and if you do your research, you can find definitively at this point that alcohol is absolutely a net negative in terms of your physical health and in so many other ways. You got your hangovers, you got your liver strain, kidney strain, cancer, other stuff like that, dehydration, waste of money, stuff like that. So to me, quitting alcohol on a logical level is easy because the evidence, I've seen the evidence, I've heard about the evidence, and I'm convinced that, I don't need alcohol. But, so I could explain myself, but people, your opposition, the people around you will portray, they'll have ways to respond, like, oh, I don't care about my health, I'm okay with dying sooner. And it's quite interesting to hear them say that. I was talking with my friends, like, I wonder how much, we're talking to ourselves, something like, how much life do you lose every time you take a drink of alcohol? I thought, well, and then at what point would you accept that loss to have that drink? So I thought, okay, maybe you lose 6 hours. What if you lose 12 hours? What if you lose 24 hours? What if you lose 48 hours, And so I'm curious about, like, if you ask somebody, hey, if we knew that every drink of alcohol subtracted your life by a certain amount, at what point would it be too much for you? What amount of life loss are you willing to take? And, for me, I know that I have this sense of a higher purpose, a great mission, and some very challenging tasks that I need to take on. And I know that I should not, to the best of my ability, I should not do anything that will lower my mental ability, lower my ability to perform on my life mission, or shorten my lifespan. At this point, I'm spiritually required to increase my lifespan and my health so that I can perform my mission, fulfill my duty. And I would say anybody who has a sense of a higher purpose or a greater mission can use the exact same reasoning in their own life to justify the elimination of things that are definitely unhealthy or to restrict such things. So, for example, like sugar. Sugar is another very common one. So it's very common for people to eat sugar, dessert, candy, soda. So for sugar, I'm personally taking more of a moderation approach. I think, to me, quitting sugar cold turkey would be very difficult right now compared to alcohol. But with sugar, I think you can set certain firm rules, such as, no soda or no soda in the house, don't eat candy. So those are basically the rules I tend towards following. Like, I avoid those things. It's very rare for me to consume that. Like, I'm very conscious of my teeth and things like that. Like, I've seen people lose their teeth. Like, I've seen people have rotting teeth, and I know how painful it can be for your teeth to be damaged. So I avoid sugar and acids, or I'll try to drink through a straw because I'm very aware of the pain. So, generally to make a decision on how you live your life, of what you would choose to, for example, avoiding a pleasure, you often have to be aware of some type of pain. So with alcohol, you're aware of the pain of hangover, to that extent, how you get some type of pleasure from it, but it's not true joy. Instead it's kind of this superficial thing, and it fades away and you end up less happy than before. And with that being the case, it's clearly a bad idea. It's logically a bad idea. And sure, if I had alcohol, if I somehow had beer in my house, I might drink it. But that is why I avoid having beer in the house. And that's why I avoid having candy or soda belonging to me in the house, because I know in advance that these are bad ideas. All right, to be fair, we definitely diverted from the original topic. So I think just to go back to this idea of being yourself, I think, I'm not going to claim to fully cover this topic in this video. So let's just condense and focus on a few key points, or at least one key point. And I would say focus in on, what you can conclude on your own through your own thought process, based on your own experience, based on your research. Think about what is true to the best of your knowledge, and what can you be firm about, what can you firmly conclude. And with that being the case, if you firmly know that something is bad for you, and you're willing, you have to think about, ask yourself, are you willing to take the necessary sacrifice? Then when you make those sacrifices, then you're one step closer to being yourself, because you've chosen to do something based on your own reasoning, even though other people don't live the way you're going to live. If you can accept the idea that other people are not going to be like you, if you can accept being different from others, then you can be that much closer to being healthy, or being yourself, or being more fundamentally, independently happy. All right, so that'll be it for now. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will resume in the future.